Hello, I'm Samantha Jolly. It's 4 o'clock and these are our top stories in Perth this afternoon. Family tragedy, a son in court accused of his mother's Byford murder. Rio Tinto's multi-million-dollar investment in Rockingham, reducing emissions to make green steel. Visa outrage as yogis beat tradies on a priority list for skilled migrants. NDIS fraud, drugs, booze, holidays and gifts rorted from a system that's supposed to help the most needy. And Lightscape shines again, the popular Perth festival returning to Kings Park. Good afternoon. A man accused of murdering his mother has fronted Armidale Court this afternoon. Harley James Jeffries is facing the murder charge after his 61-year-old mother was found dead outside her Byford home on Sunday night. Police say the 33-year-old fled the home in a silver Peugeot. He made it more than 200 kilometres before officers deployed stingers, stopping his car in Bindi Bindi. Police were forced to taser Jeffries when he became aggressive with officers. He was remanded in custody and will front court again next month. Rio Tinto will pump $250 million into proving it can make steel with a process that dramatically cuts its carbon emissions, and it will happen in East Rockingham. Here's Jeff Parry with the details.
This cavernous workspace started life as a painting and industrial cleaning complex. Rio will turn it into something completely different. It's been empty for about 3 years. Grass is growing out the gutter, but it's about to undergo a $250 million refit, repurposed by Rio as bioiron. And this is what is at the heart of bioiron, a new process to treat Pilbara iron ore to create green steel. It will use 2/3 less electricity than old methods and replace coal altogether with agricultural waste or biomass.
So things like straw, for example, that's left behind in the agricultural process. And so we'll be able to source that, we think, through Western Australia. There's obviously a plentiful supply off our agricultural industry.
Traditional steel making is dirty. It accounts for 8% of the world's carbon emissions. Bioiron is expected to cut emissions by 95%. It's a process Rio has been developing for a decade. Like the company, the state government has high hopes for it.
So not only will we be a great miner, we'll be a great manufacturer, a processor of those minerals to see the eventual export of value-added product, not just of rocks, which have been dug up, processed, stuck on a ship and sent offshore. Around 100 jobs will be created at the East Rockingham site. The test plant's expected to be in operation by 2026. I'll have more in the news at 6.
Yoga instructors, dog trainers and martial art teachers are all in higher demand than tradies. That's according to a draft priority list of skilled migrants written by an independent government body. Painters, tilers, bricklayers and stonemasons weren't categorised as workers considered urgently needed, despite Labor's plans to build 1.2 million new homes in the next 5 years.
We are incredibly perplexed as to why most of the trades that we need to build 1.2 million homes are not on the definite list for skilled migration. It does not make any sense.
It seems like an odd priority or order. I'll leave it up to the experts to decide the priority in relation to that. But obviously for Western Australia, construction skills are key skills that we need in our community right now.
Housing advocates say 500,000 extra workers are needed in the sector if the government is to meet its construction goals. The National Disability Insurance Scheme is being rorted to the tune of more than $2 billion. It's been revealed hundreds of dodgy participants are exploiting the system, claiming on drugs, alcohol, holidays and cars. Josh Martin has more from Canberra.
Good afternoon. It's around 5% of the scheme's $40 billion budget. These sensational revelations were made in Senate estimates. The head of fraud at the National Disability Insurance Scheme telling politicians they're catching participants and providers claiming for ice, heroin, cocaine, as well as $20,000 holidays and $70,000 cars. An admission that organised crime has infiltrated the NDIS.
There are some providers that are really just fraudsters and criminal syndicates. And there are participants where They may be claiming things that they shouldn't. Just in the last week, a $20,000 holiday, a $10,000 holiday. We had a participant that bought a car, brand new, $73,000.
What types of illicit substances are being trafficked or sold?
You name it, it's on the list.
So heroin, cocaine, speed, ice, everything.
And these are providers that are there to do harm.
Those stunning revelations followed up by the opposition in question time seizing on this saga, asking NDIS Minister Bill Shorten what he's doing to stop the fraud taking place. He says the agency is cracking down. Currently there are 500 compliance matters being looked into, 222 active investigations, 20 prosecutions and 12 matters sitting with the DPP.
Why is the Minister allowed illegal drugs to be trafficked to Australia's most vulnerable and paid for by taxpayers under the scheme that you designed?
Anyone claiming items which are not allowed under the scheme, it is illegal. We're doing something about fixing up the scheme. You did nothing.
666,000 Australians use the NDIS, most of them for genuine disability needs, but these 5% doing the wrong thing need to be weeded out and weeded out quickly.
A 22-year-old man has been arrested over a series of driving offences in Perth's north. Police say the Ellenbrook man was the driver of a black Mazda which crashed into two other cars on Ocean Reef Road in Belden on Saturday. Officers had been searching for the driver for 2 days after he allegedly ran from the scene of the crash. He's now facing 5 charges, including reckless driving and failing to stop. A Perth driver is on the run after a dramatic police chase in Carlisle that lasted only a few minutes. Police tried to stop a Jeep on Oates Street. A short time later, the driver went the wrong way down Orrong Road and hit an oncoming car. Luckily, nobody was hurt. Police are investigating. The Matildas have named their team for the Paris Olympics and there are plenty of familiar faces in the squad. But one 19-year-old veteran of the side has missed out, as Chris Reason explains.
Good afternoon. Well, for some jubilation, others heartache, but this is a team with extraordinary depth. 8 of the 18 players in the squad have been to 3 Olympics previously. That is an Olympic milestone. We're going to be captained by Steph Catley, vice-captains Emily Van Egmond, Ellie Carpenter, no Sam Kerr, of course, but a list of familiar faces, including Mackenzie Arnold, Caitlin Ford, Alana Kennedy, Claire Polkinghorne, Tamika Yallop, Kyra Cooney-Cross, Mary Fowler, Hayley Rasso, also Katrina Gorry going along, a gamble with an ankle injury. She hasn't played since the World Cup last year. Let's quickly listen to both the coach and the captain.
It's been an emotional week, of course, but right now, today, I feel very excited.
A very familiar team, but yeah, I think the way we've been playing over the last year or so, we're in a really good place.
There were important omissions though. Charlotte Grant and Lydia Williams both dropped officially from the squad. They will still be going to Paris as part of a small subset of 4 players on standby in case of emergency. But that means that for Lydia, last night was most likely her final game for the Matildas after a 19-year career with the national team. It was an emotional farewell and send-off for her here at Sydney Olympic Park, and a 2-0 victory against China, the perfect springboard for the girls to go off to Paris, but their work is cut out for them. They're ranked 9 of the 12 teams going to the Olympics, but they say they have a medal in their sights.
Winter sensation Lightscape is returning to Kings Park this week with a reimagined trail packed with new installations. This year, more people can see the internationally acclaimed experience for longer during the festival's extended 7-week run.
Perth's popular Lightscape installation returns this year after a sellout run in 2023. I'm here with Director of Events at Culture Creative Limited, Emily Sewell. Emily, what can people expect to see at this year's spectacle?
People can expect a brand new trail for 2024 with a whole series of installations stretching over a 1.8 kilometre walking trail. There will be light, there'll be colour, there'll be sound. The natural environment will be brought to life with a beautiful lighting treatment, and then there will be a series of light art installations from artists around the globe. Really popular installations such as our Tunnel of Hearts, our Meadow of Light, which is 10,000 fibre optic lights across a huge expanse of lawn, which pulses light across it in waves, and then not forgetting obviously our signature piece, which is the Winter Cathedral that we're in at the moment, which is probably our most popular piece.
How much work goes into making something like this happen?
This is a truly year-round production, so as soon as one light trail is over, then work immediately begins on the planning for the next. We have a team of producers in the UK who are working on this all year round, designing the fire garden, designing the artwork, designing the lightscape. Then we have a team in Australia who are busily putting it in and doing all the planning around the logistics. They've been working on this for months. They've been on site for 3 weeks, installing the lights, putting each of those 10,000 fibre optic lights for the Meadow of Light in the ground, for instance. Kind of working towards opening on Friday night.
And just how many individual lights feature in this year's installation?
We have over 100,000 lights across the trail this year, which is a bit mind-blowing.
At 6, get a first look at the new installations that are set to light up Kings Park.
This is 7's afternoon news. Coming up, Stormy's warning. The former porn star speaks out, giving marriage advice to Melania Trump. And a Brexit champion back in the spotlight. How Nigel Farage is once again shaking up UK politics.
You might have heard that you need $1 million to retire comfortably. Well, it's just not true. Super, tax, investments, estate planning, and how to get the most out of Centrelink. In the West's new video series, I'll share tricks and tips to give you the retirement you've been dreaming of. The West has you covered, so you can relax and retire ready.
You're watching 7's 4 p.m. news live from Perth. We've had some drizzle around today. Right now it is an overcast 20 degrees in the city. The full forecast is coming up soon. As an incentive to join our Defence Force, citizenship would be fast-tracked for eligible foreigners who've lived in Australia for 12 months. The federal government is expanding its eligibility criteria to tackle a jobs shortage.
From 1 July, we'll be opening this up to permanent residents from New Zealand that have been here for a year, and then from 1 January, it will open up to Five Eyes countries and permanent residents from other countries.
Applicants have to pass security checks and can't have served in an overseas military in the past 2 years. It's hoped more than 350 personnel will join the ranks this coming financial year. The former adult film star who says she had an affair with Donald Trump has urged his wife, Melania, to divorce him. Not because he cheated, but because he's a convicted criminal. Here's US correspondent Marley Hogan.
Wanted or not, Stormy Daniels has offered her advice to the former First Lady, urging Melania Trump to leave her husband, saying that Melania should ditch him not because of his alleged affair, but because he is a convicted felon. It's the first time Stormy Daniels has spoken out since the former president's guilty verdict, speaking exclusively to a British newspaper.
And I'm not going to sit here and assume that any of us know what their agreement may or may not have been.
Should she leave him?
Yeah.
On the grounds of?
He's a convicted felon? Sleeping around or like having an open marriage. I'm not saying they did or didn't because I don't know. None of us know. She could have a hot pool boy locked up in the garage for all we know.
Last week, Donald Trump was found guilty of covering up a hush money payment to Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 election. The money to keep her quiet about an alleged affair, a sexual encounter the former president denies.
I'm obviously glad of the verdict because in a way it also proves that I was telling the truth, that I was not paid for sex. You know, it was not a prostitution job.
Melania Trump did not attend any of the 7-week trial, the former president revealing the case has been hard on her and his family. The jury's verdict marked the first ever criminal conviction of a former US president. Donald Trump has vowed to appeal.
A jury has been selected in Hunter Biden's federal firearms case. The US president's son denies allegations he lied about his drug use on application forms when he purchased a handgun in 2018. First Lady Jill Biden spent part of her birthday in court with him. Joe Biden wasn't there, but in a statement said he has boundless love for the 54-year-old. Opening statements begin tomorrow, with the trial expected to last a fortnight. The far-right British politician who infamously led the Brexit campaign is making a comeback. Nigel Farage says he's igniting a dull UK general election and will head up the Reform Party. Europe correspondent Ashley Mullaney reports.
It was a dramatic political comeback for Nigel Farage today, announcing that he will be running for a seat in Parliament as leader of the Reform Party. Farage came in like a wrecking ball for the Tories today, hoping to scoop up some of the Conservative, right-wing voters that are fed up with Rishi Sunak and his government. It's come on a day of terrible polling for the Tories too. They are facing a once-in-a-century wipeout. Nigel Farage says, in his words, this has been one of the dullest campaigns and he's coming in to shake things up.
What I'm really calling for, and what I intend to lead, is a political revolt. Yes, a revolt. A turning of our backs on the political status quo. It doesn't work. Nothing in this country works anymore. We are in decline. This will only be turned around with boldness.
Farage is a long-term friend and ally of Donald Trump. His new campaign video today had a very familiar slogan saying, "Let's make Britain great again."
WA researchers have found fresh water existed 500 million years earlier than we thought. The discovery was made possible using very old crystals from our Midwest region. Is Noel Branning from 7 News Regional WA.
Yes, good afternoon. It was thought that 4 billion years ago the Earth was one big ocean. But new research out of Curtin University has proved that wasn't the case. Researchers analysed crystals from near Murchison that were billions of years old and found signs of fresh water. The discovery reveals that there weren't just oceans way back when, but dry land and fresh water as well. And Australian chickens are having their turn in the spotlight, not for their produce, but, wait for it, their looks. Good Life Backyard has crowned the winners of Australia's Next Top Chicken, and some of WA's very own have come out on top, including Truffle, who took out Australia's funniest chook.
Ahead this news hour, the former footy agent in court found guilty of attacking a postie. Find out what caused a parcel delivery to turn into an ugly fight. Plus, P&O set to go, the popular cruise company folding next year. What it means for WA travellers, that's ahead. Ryan Daniels joins us now. Ryan, what is the latest on Harley Reid?
Sam, his tribunal date is about to begin. We'll have the Eagles' young gun trying to have his dangerous tackle ban reduced from 2 games to 1. The details next. Plus, Eagles ruckman Matt Flynn reveals why he's happy to play second fiddle to Bailey Williams. And Aussie Alex de Minaur makes his move at the French Open.
Know the headlines as they break. Know the stories as they happen. With 7news.com.au, know the news.
West Coast Eagles young gun Harley Reid is about to front the AFL tribunal over this dangerous tackle on St Kilda's Darcy Wilson. The incident was graded as careless conduct, high impact and high contact. The Eagles will argue the level of impact should be downgraded to medium rather than high, which would result in a 1-match suspension. And Eagles ruckman Matt Flynn says he's happy to play second fiddle to Bailey Williams. Flynn made his West Coast debut against St Kilda on Saturday after missing the first half of the season following hamstring tendon surgery.
I think initially, early on in the year before I got injured, it was probably I was going to take more and then Baz would do probably 30-40%. But he's doing some really good stuff in there now. So we might look at that over the next few weeks and keep working on that synergy there. But I think on the weekend, Baz did 70% of them and I did only 30 or 40%. But yeah, we'll look at that going forward. But yeah, we just continue to build that synergy as we play more footy with each other.
The Eagles take on North Melbourne on Saturday. There was fierce interest from the WA clubs, but Sam Taylor says he never contemplated leaving the Giants. One of the AFL's best key defenders, Taylor's new contract will keep him at the club until at least the end of 2032.
Win a flag, that's the ultimate goal, and we have a window, I reckon, of the next 5 years of reaching that goal.
Leads the right way, obviously plays the right way, but he'll only continue to improve in that space.
Callan Ward and Callum Brown return for Saturday afternoon's game against the in-form Hawthorn in Launceston. At age 35, Michelle Heyman will lead the line for the Matildas at the Paris Olympics in July. Heyman will fill the boots of injured captain Sam Kerr, completing her return from international retirement in 2019. Skipper Steph Catley is certain they can compete for a gold medal.
We've been to 2 major tournaments now where we've finished 4th, and there's definitely something within us that wants something tangible to take out of, this whole experience.
Katrina Gorry was selected while still recovering from ankle surgery. Charlie Grant will travel as one of 4 reserves, along with Lydia Williams, who was given a rousing farewell before and during last night's 2-0 win over China, which was sealed by Hayley Raso. Alex de Minaur is the first Aussie man to reach the French Open quarterfinals since his hero and mentor, Leighton Hewitt, 20 years ago. The Demon notched his first Grand Slam win over a top 5 opponent, coming from a set down to eliminate 5th seed Daniil Medvedev in 4 sets. He'll take on 4th seed Alexander Zverev for a spot in his first Slam semi.
I'm pretty happy, not going to lie. Managed to beat a quality opponent and in a Grand Slam 4th round, which is kind of the goals that I had been setting for myself.
World number 1 Novak Djokovic needed 5 sets for the second time in as many matches, but is through to the quarterfinals. WA football has lost a legend today. John Todd, one of the icons of our football heritage, has passed away aged 86. Todd was a Sandover medalist at just 17 and went on to coach 6 WAFL premierships. An Australian Football Hall of Fame inductee, a legend in the WA Football Hall of Fame. Many believe he was the greatest footballer WA has produced. At 6 o'clock, a special tribute to John Todd, including his story told to us just 2 weeks ago. He's a great footballer and a great man, Sam. A very sad day for WA football.
Yeah, thoughts with his family, a legend of the game.
Absolutely.
Ryan, we'll see you at 6. Up next on 7's afternoon news, outrage over a visa priority list for skilled migrants. Why yoga instructors and dog handlers are pushing essential tradies down the pecking order. And a shock discovery for funeral directors after the body they were working on was still breathing.
7 News knows Perth.
Headlines flash by all day.
But to know the news, watch 7 News at 6 o'clock.
And here's why.
Our reporters are newsbreakers.
The man in the back of that police car was arrested right here on the side of busy Belia Drive.
With more exclusive reports that dig deeper
and demand answers.
We commit to travel to wherever the stories happen, even the front line.
Chris Reason from Channel 7 Australia.
As international news unfolds in Europe.
We're live to you at 6 p.m.
Breaking down the global issues that matter back home in Perth. 7 News understands that
our reporters travel from suburb to suburb.
It happened at Point Walter
and across our state to bring you the news.
This show only in June.
This is the team we trust.
And thank you
for trusting 7 News.
Hello, you're watching 7's afternoon news live from Perth. Here are some of today's top stories. A 33-year-old man accused of murdering his mother outside her Byford home has fronted Armidale Court. Harley James Jeffries will front court again next month. The National Disability Insurance Scheme is being rorted of more than $2 billion. It's been revealed dodgy participants are claiming on drugs, alcohol, holidays and cars. A 22-year-old has been charged with a series of driving offences over a crash in Belden on Saturday. Officers were looking for the driver for 2 days after he allegedly ran from the scene. The popular Lightscape Festival is returning to Kings Park this week. The special illumination experience is on for longer this year with an extended 7-week run. We're set for a full day of sunshine tomorrow, but more showers are on the way. I'll have your full forecast later this hour. A man accused of murdering his mother at their Byford home has fronted a Perth court this afternoon. The 33-year-old was arrested more than 200 kilometres away after a dramatic police chase. Nick Overall has the details.
33-year-old Harley James Jeffries was silent in the dock today, his face blank while fronting the magistrate on account of murder. His 61-year-old mother was found dead outside a home in Byford just after 7 p.m. on Sunday night. It's understood she fled her home on Larimar Parade and was trying to seek shelter at a neighbouring property, but no one was home. Police say her son left the scene in a silver Peugeot. He made it more than 200 kilometres, allegedly leading police on a chase after he failed to stop in Bindoon. He was finally pulled over in Bindi Bindi after police deployed stingers. They say he became aggressive with officers who then tasered him and took him into custody. Today, he was remanded in custody. He'll be back in court on July 24th.
One of the world's biggest producers of iron ore will pour $250 million into pioneering steel manufacturing that will replace coal with agricultural waste. Rio Tinto has taken over this massive shed in East Rockingham to pioneer its bio-iron process that it's been developing for a decade. The company will build a test plant to produce pellets for steel manufacturers, which will cut carbon emissions by up to 95% compared to traditional methods.
It has been designed specifically for Pilbara iron ores. Rio Tinto has been privileged to be in the Pilbara for decades, and we intend to be here for decades more. We need to do the work to make sure Pilbara iron ore is well positioned for green steel.
Steel production currently accounts for around 8% of the world's carbon emissions. A draft plan of desired occupations for skilled migration has been slammed by building industry representatives and the opposition. It puts yoga instructors and dog handlers high on the list as priority professions, while some essential construction trades are still up for consideration. James Carmody has more.
Good afternoon. The federal opposition and Master Builders Australia have slammed the government over a draft list published by Jobs and Skills Australia. The list, put together following research and consultation, is of occupations the agency believes should definitely be welcomed into Australia as skilled migrants. Some inclusions that have been focused on are dog handlers, wushu martial arts instructors and yoga instructors.
I appreciate that wellness instructors are an important fabric of work-life balance. It does not make any sense. I think the word I have used is flummoxed.
It seems like an odd priority or order.
The Premier says construction jobs should be top priority to alleviate the demand for housing in WA. He's agreed with Master Builders Australia that occupations such as plumbers, electricians, bricklayers and tilers, which are on a list of jobs up for needing further consultation, should be on the definitely welcome list. In 7 News at 6, we'll bring you the response from Federal Skills and Training Minister Brendan O'Connor, who has rubbished the suggestion that the Commonwealth is neglecting the building industry.
Former AFL player agent Ricky Nixon has been found guilty of assaulting a postie. It happened during a parcel delivery that went horribly wrong.
Over the past decade, Ricky Nixon has never been far from trouble, and today he fell foul of the law again, convicted of assaulting a postman outside his home in Port Melbourne. The former AFL player agent had claimed he was the victim, that the postie assaulted him and insulted his girlfriend. Today, the magistrate dismissed Ricky Nixon's version of events entirely, saying he was satisfied there is no reasonable basis to believe he needed to defend himself, adding that the 61-year-old's testimony was not reliable or credible, and today was found guilty of unlawful assault and discharging a missile.
Ricky, how are you feeling?
Unbelievably good.
This incident is just the latest of many Ricky Nixon controversies. In 2011, he had an inappropriate relationship with a 17-year-old schoolgirl. 2 years later, he pleaded guilty to assaulting his then fiancée. This year, he's also fighting fraud charges over the sale of allegedly fake football memorabilia. He certainly turned heads when he left court today as the 61-year-old arranged for a Blues Brothers-themed limousine to come and pick him up.
Talk to Bob and get back to you.
The prosecution isn't seeking a jail sentence for Nixon, instead saying a community correction order would be appropriate, and the 61-year-old will be sentenced later this month.
The Immigration Minister's relationship with his department is under growing scrutiny this afternoon. Andrew Giles backtracking and admitting drones were never used to monitor released detainees. Political reporter Isabel Mullen with the details.
Well, it's one thing after another for the Immigration Minister at the moment. Andrew Giles conceding that drones aren't being used to monitor immigration detainees, despite previously claiming that they were. Now, it comes after the Australian Federal Police and also government insiders said they had no knowledge of drones being used in the program to monitor those 153 immigration detainees released after the High Court ruling. Andrew Giles did say say in a TV interview last week that drones were being used. We asked his office on Friday. They insisted that he was right, only for the minister to backflip earlier this week, blaming his department for the mistake.
There has been a complete relationship breakdown between Minister Giles and his department. I don't think there is any trust between Minister Giles and his department.
I relied on information provided by my department at the time, which has since been clarified.
It's the latest embarrassment for Andrew Giles after it was revealed that dangerous foreign offenders, including a child rapist, dodged deportation under Direction 99, a direction that Minister Giles signed. He has now cancelled 30 of their visas.
The Israeli military claims to have gathered new intelligence that it says confirms the deaths of 4 hostages held by Hamas since the October 7 massacre. 3 of the men are in their 80s. The 4th was 51 years old. The IDF says they died in Gaza months ago and that their bodies are being held by the terror group. About 80 captives are thought to be alive, along with the remains of 43 others. Votes are still being counted in India this afternoon after a staggering 7-week poll. More than 642 million ballots were cast in the world's largest election ever. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on track for a landslide win, claiming a 3rd consecutive term in office with his Nationalist Party. The official results are expected later today. There's been more legal history made in the US as the son of President Joe Biden goes on trial. Hunter Biden is facing 3 gun-related charges.
Hunter Biden entering federal court in Wilmington, Delaware today, the first child of a sitting president to face criminal prosecution. The jury now seated in his trial on multiple gun charges. First Lady Jill Biden, Hunter's stepmother, attended court Monday in the latest show of support from his family.
I love Hunter and I'll support him in any way I can.
Even in the middle of a close presidential race, President Biden has been unwavering in his support for his only living son.
I'm very proud of my son.
The two seen at a state dinner last month, at church together last week, and riding bicycles in Rehoboth Beach over the weekend. In a statement today, he said, "I am the president, but I am also a dad. Jill and I love our son, and we are so proud of the man he is today." Hunter has been charged in part with lying on this ATF form when he purchased a firearm. Prosecutors allege he failed to reveal he was a drug addict and using at the time. Hunter has entered a plea of not guilty, although he has been open about his struggles with addiction.
I went one time for 13 days without sleeping and smoking crack and drinking vodka exclusively throughout that entire time.
Potential jurors were asked questions about people they knew dealing with substance abuse. Some were excused after saying they couldn't be impartial over their political views. Hunter was expected to resolve his gun charges as part of a plea deal, but that fell apart last year.
Hunter owned an unloaded gun for 11 days. There will never have been a charge like this brought in the United States.
His second criminal trial on tax charges is scheduled to begin in September in Los Angeles.
Staff at a funeral parlour in the US have had a rude shock after finding a woman they were preparing for burial was still alive. The 74-year-old had been pronounced dead at her nursing home, but as the undertakers began work, one noticed she was still breathing. Police are now investigating.
At this point, we have not been able to find any criminal intent by the nursing home, but the investigation is ongoing.
The woman had been in hospice care. Still to come this hour, a breakthrough vaccine for cancer, plus P&O to go, what the big cruise merger means for travellers. See you after the break. A vaccine that can be used to fight skin cancer has halved the rate of reoccurrence and death in patients, according to clinical trials. The vaccine, created by US company Moderna, is unique to the user, created from a sample of the patient's tumour. Australian of the Year, Professor Georgina Long, is working on the study. She's hailed it the next penicillin moment in cancer medicine. The seatbelt sign is likely to stay on for longer at international flights as airlines scrambled to ramp up safety following the Singapore Airlines mid-air emergency. One man died and more than 100 passengers and crew were injured when the plane hit severe turbulence on the flight to Singapore. Emirates says turbulence is becoming more common and the industry is working to improve safety on all flights. The cruise industry is experiencing a shake-up with the end of the P&O brand announced. The news has devastated loyal passengers who are wondering this afternoon what will change on their favourite vessels.
Yes, for many cruise goers today, this is very sad news. The P&O brand will be no more into the new year. And for many, the P&O brand is synonymous with great value and a typical Aussie style of cruising.
Oh no, I absolutely didn't know that. I'm so upset. Sorry? Oh. P&O is going out. Oh.
The service they provide, the price, the range of places you go to, it's been great. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what's going to happen now.
P&O's parent company, Carnival Cruise Lines, the boss of Carnival flew into Australia from America this morning to break the news to staff first of all. What does it mean for them? Well, even they don't know yet. What we do know is that 2 of P&O's cruise ships will continue under the Carnival brand, but the one behind me here, the Pacific Explorer, will be retired. The Carnival boss says that the way that costs are at the moment is just too great to continue the way they have been, and so it'll be a slimmed down operation, but still they are promising nonetheless there will be great experiences to be had for all cruise goers. It's business as usual, they've told their P&O staff, for at least the next 6 months or so. And for those cruise goers here in Brisbane who are about to board the Explorer, well, they're going to make the most of what could be their very last time on this ship.
Checking finance now, and mining and energy stocks were a drag on the market today. Here's Laura Bessarati from CommSec.
It was a bit of an uninspiring session today, with the Aussie market ending lower by 24 points, or about 1/3%, and ending around the worst levels of the day. Today, lower commodity prices were the main theme, which saw energy producers under some pressure after oil prices slumped by 3.5% overnight on demand concerns after some of the largest oil-producing nations extended their supply cuts. Miners also had a rough session after iron ore fell sharply overnight, so we did see some of the larger players like BHP and Fortescue adding weight, but the good news is gains across some of the other sectors of our market helped to offset bigger declines. The major banks helped, and so did some of the healthcare stocks, including CSL and Ramsay Healthcare. Finally, the Aussie dollar currently buys 66.6 US cents.
Perth 6 p.m. news is coming up with Rick Arden. Rick, what's in tonight's bulletin?
Well, Sam, we've got an exclusive report on our current domestic violence crisis. Our reporter spent the day at Fremantle Court, where an entire courtroom is set aside for family violence offences. More than 30 men fronted court, and the crimes they're accused of are shocking. Full details tonight at 6, plus new statistics on WA's grim surge in domestic violence. Also tonight, special tributes for John Todd. The AFL icon has sadly passed away at the age of 86. We'll take a fond look back at his astonishing WA footy career and his incredible legacy. Plus, alarming new research has found almost half of Australian homes are now a bushfire risk, and millions more are threatened by floods. How to best protect your home. And the robots racing to replace humans in the workforce. How Australia's robo-revolution could reshape the world. All that and more tonight, live at 6, Sam, with you and Ryan as well.
Thank you, Rick. We'll see you then. A section of the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii that went silent 50 years ago has reawoken. Lava began spewing from a kilometre-long fissure yesterday. It's in a remote section of the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, and the US Geological Survey says it doesn't pose any threat to life or property. Kilauea is one of the world's most active volcanoes. Mixed conditions for this week's weather. Find out when to expect our next band of showers. I'll have your full forecast coming up next.
Start your day in WA with Sunrise.
Jess and the Treasurer, thank you.
WA's only live and local breakfast news.
Brooke Comerford in Canning Vale.
Because to bring you the news in WA, you have to be in WA.
Sunrise with Matt Tinney. Now, Fuel Watch. Perth's petrol prices brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
the weather now. We've had a dry but overcast afternoon, a top of 21.5 degrees in the city. And looking at the national forecast, cold and cloudy in Melbourne tomorrow, rain increasing for Canberra and Sydney, mostly sunny in Brisbane. Back to Perth, a chance of some morning fog about the hills tomorrow, but the rest of our Wednesday looks very pleasant. Sunshine, blue skies, a top of 23, but the wet weather is set to return on Thursday. We've got a very high chance of some decent rain in the afternoon and the evening. We could see up to 25 mils, and there's even the chance of a thunderstorm. A few light showers around on Friday morning with some light winds up to 20 degrees. Then we've got another wet weekend on the way. We could see heavy downpours with up to 70 millimetres of rain across Saturday and Sunday. And there's some more showers around at the start of next week. That is Perth's 4 p.m. news. I'm Samantha Jolly. I'll be back with Rick and Ryan for 7 News at 6. Thanks for joining us this Tuesday afternoon. The Chase Australia is next.